I'm muted. North South Connection viewers, listeners, and Wrestling Warzone patrons, welcome into Wrestling Warzone, Reminder Wars podcast retrospective series. I'm JT. Joining me as ever is my partner Chad, and of course, this podcast is simulcast audio on all podcasts, well, most podcast applications under North South Connection, except for those Grinches at Spotify. Video on our YouTube channel under North South Connection, and of course, our absolutely free Patreon. We'll talk about those perks in a moment, but you can watch us there as well. We have a lot of cool content going on. It was Survivor Series season recently. So we covered that show, of course, in full, as well as a lot of classic Survivor Series content. Ryan and I did a countdown to determine who was Mr. Survivor Series, went through the top 30 Survivor Series male competitors of all time. And of course, it is John Cena's last match going on around now. So we have a lot of content around John Cena. We got a Cena-based draft that'll be coming. I'm trying to look at when this is dropping, actually, here, Chad. This is... right around now. The draft, draft will be dropping.
The days after Cena's last match.
Yeah, so a lot going on is where we're at, and it's
nice
also
knowing you, John.
Yeah, had a good time. Who knows what happened though? He may announce he's coming back for another year. You know.
Yeah, that'd be great. This run's been so good.
But anyway, that aside, it's also our last episode before the holiday season, Chad. Because like I mentioned, this will air on the 15th, so I do have my holiday shirt on, my Santa touch my elf shirt here for holiday.
Very good. Wow.
And it's not quite a holiday themed pay-per-view, but we'll do our best. So anyway, check out everything at North South Connection. We have a lot of cool content, like I mentioned. We've also been tracking 1995 as a year throughout this year, paying tribute to that with some cool content. So you want to tell everyone quickly about the Patreon before we get diving in?
Yeah, so we have some bonus features, absolutely free to sign up. Probably the best thing that we consistently do is when we record this show, you're able to come in and watch us record it live. We can read your comments on air, and we've had a pretty good run of, some consistent visitors each time we record, which is nice. So it's not just me and Justin talking to each other all the time. Already tonight we have Ed, Reggie, and Ryan Everett in the chat. So it's good to get some interaction, and like we said, it's totally free to sign up. So go ahead and do it. Kind of set it and forget it. Did you get that infomercial a lot as a kid? That rotisserie oven?
Oh yeah.
Definitely. That was like the one I always remember.
Was it Ray? No, Pompeo. What was the guy's name?
Remember? Yeah, Ron
Pompeo.
Yeah. I remember that. Set it and forget it. He'd always put like a Cornish hen and all sorts of crap in there. Yeah.
Ding at the end. Yeah, we already got some patrons in now. We got Ed, we got Reg, we got Ryan Everett. So thanks, guys, for joining us. Looking forward to a big night. It's pay-per-view night. It's always a fun one. We already did the August WF pay-per-view. So once we finish, we'll do our kind of combo awards to see which had the better show.
Yeah.
And this would be a tough month. We talked about this month potentially being one that was like, maybe the best overall month ever, right?
I don't know about this one, but we knew SummerSlam was good. I think Road Wild 97 is a pretty forgotten show in a lot of ways besides the main event. But I do think on the booking side, it's a show that they were kind of building towards pretty well. Like they, of course, had like their big show with Bash at the Beach with the Rodman main event and the Hennig debut match. But this show, as we'll get to, like, the first four matches are kind of preliminary-esque, but all still feature feuds for the most part. And then the back five, I would say, on this show were built to and had some juice going into them. So we'll see if they deliver, and then we can talk about it as we go along. There's some interesting notes, I think, surrounding this show from the booking side. Like, I would say up to this point in 1997, backstage-wise, WWF has obviously been a lot more interesting than WCW, but I think in regards to this show and the booking and some of the kind of political stuff that happened, this one was pretty interesting. I did a deep dive into the Observer and the Torch after I watched this show and found some, I think, some interesting developments. So we can go ahead and dive in.
Well, one quick sec, Chad, I guess, before we do that, because we did have a YouTube comment for our last episode. I just want to read it so we don't forget. It's from our regular viewer, Alan Collins. So thank you, Alan. In the main event, WCW guys Steiners and the Giant didn't appear at ringside. or the entryway blocking the outside of the Macho Man because they knew Luger could take on all those guys himself. And had one of them used a weapon on Luger and Hogan defeated him, then at Road Wild, Giant, Steiners, whoever could have helped Luger block the NWO. It's the main difference between WCW and WWF. WCW stars are far better, and they wanted to show it. Had Luger been hit with a weapon against Hogan on August 4th, then the Giant, Steiners, or whoever would have made sure at Road Wild no one interfered. The same might happen to Sting. If he takes on so many NWO members by himself, no one helps him against them. The same can happen to Goldberg, et cetera, going forward. So I think basically what he's saying is he thinks, A, WCW guys want to prove themselves. So Luger was like, I'll do it on my own. And B, if WCW starts to set a precedent that they're going to go with the numbers game, that might even amp the NWO up to do just, even worse than they had been doing. And that was in reference to mainly my comments from August 4th Nitro about how no WCW guys were out there with Luger to help him in that match.
Yeah, I think we'll get to it, but I still, in watching Road Wild, I still felt good about everything that happened at the Nitro, and then we can discuss what happens tonight. So we're at Sturgis. It's the biker rally, August 9th, 1997, one day before my 11th birthday. Very generic opening, as per usual for the WCW pay-per-views. A lot of helicopter shots on this show. So they lead us in with the helicopter shot overhead in the Black Hills of Sturgis. Tony lets us know there was 300,000 people there that weekend. Basically, as I know we mentioned last year, we'll talk to again through this year. This is basically like some fan fiction for Bischoff and having this show here, where he's a biker. He thinks he looks cool doing it. He likes riding his bike from Detroit to Sturgis to go to the rally, and there you have it. So that I think the estimates from what I saw online said there's probably around like 6,000 people actually watching this show. One thing I always like to do, and I did do this for like WrestleMania 9, like where was it actually located? So if you go to like Google Maps and stuff and see, like now I think there's a building there or whatever. But this like was some, I can't remember, it was like a parking lot of some store. So I actually looked it up and saw like what it looks like on maps today. You can kind of see in general, not a whole lot has changed. It's just this is a weird town to have like this type of event, to be honest. They mentioned later, but it's like 1,000 person town that all of a sudden just has all these people.
Once a year becomes like a massive tourist trap. And even I mean, it's even crazy because the next year, we'll get to it someday, but there's an even bigger show, like marquee wise, to be in a town like that, given who they bring in.
So it is Tony and Bobby and Dusty in their biker gear.
Yes.
And Tony lets us know if WCW can win tonight, they could extinguish the NWO forever. Bobby says you can't trust the NWO, that they're up to something. And Dusty says opportunities knock and let's get it on. So just a quick kind of brief intro. And then we get to our first match. All right, so our first match is our tag team match. It's Vicious and Delicious versus Harlem Heat. Pinzer actually calls them Vicious and Delicious, which I don't think, they hadn't been kind of going by that moniker too much. So good for Pinzer actually calling them that. Tony called Luger's win on Monday night the biggest night in WCW history. Vincent, of course, is out with Vicious and Delicious. He's played a pretty pivotal role in this feud overall. Tony lets us know the people have been camping out all day for the front row seats on the bikes. Dusty says it's important for Harlem Heat to get some momentum from WCW. Of course, last year, Harlem Heat had the interesting reaction, we should say, from the Sturgis fans. As baby faces. I will say this year, I don't think they got as much racist remarks or
no, it's not as bad. Yeah.
So I guess that's a step in the right direction, but they were mostly met with indifference, as most of the matches were met with here tonight. To start off, Buff Ducks a sidekick, has a flurry of arm drags, drop kicks, and clothesline. Norton pounds Booker in the corner, misses a charge in. Stevie gets tagged in. Tony talks about the freak out Hogan did backstage on Monday. Big sidekick from Stevie. But Norton impressively catches him as Booker goes for a spin kick, lifts him up and slams him down. When Buff gets tagged in, he gets sent to the outside. Tony lets us know, and this is true. Last year, you see it here where the outside area is they're kind of up on an elevated stage, the ring is, and then we know that the outside area is just like dirt, rocks, gravel. So Tony lets us know that it's more dangerous than usual, but as what happens actually throughout the night is basically not many people go outside and brawl. There's not much
No,
brawl.
no, no.
And as we've seen in WCW, like brawling's been pretty prevalent on Nitro and whatnot, and ringside in the crowd, etc. And you get no crowd brawling here. Harlem Heat. I just thought this match was just kind of worked really weird, where Harlem Heat's the baby faces, but they're dominating the match, and the crowd is just kind of silent throughout. So I thought psychology wise, the match was real wonky. Jacqueline all of a sudden shows up at ringside, and I guess the bikers were like horny for her because they start revving up their bikes when she comes out. So there you go. Uh, she starts cheering on Harlem Heat, is in their corner. Tony calls this a surprise that apparently they've heard about, but
Well,
it
they
really
said, yeah, he said it during the entrances that Harlem Heat's promised a big surprise for the NWO here tonight. And Dusty does know she's dressed in red as she heads down to just give away, obviously, that she's coming down for Harlem Heat.
Yeah, we've had no tease up to this night, though. I think Jackie joining Harlem Heat, as far as I can recall.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely not.
So Bagwell blocks a power bomb, gets one on Booker, tags in Norton. Norton cleans house again, which is weird. It's almost like Norton got a hot tag in there. The heels. Stevie decks Vincent on the outside. Norton hits his shoulder breaker, but Jackie jumps up, gets on the back of Norton, and then we get the big Harlem sidekick from Booker. And Booker ends up pinning Norton with Jackie holding down Norton's feet. Overall, I think the psychology here was wonky. This was what I was actually looking forward to based on Vicious and Delicious, their tag work so far. And Harlem Heat's been coming along nicely, but with the wonky psychology and the crowd heat, I thought the spots and the actual execution in the match was fine. It was adequate. But this left me kind of wanting more, so I went 2.5. I thought it was a pretty basic number.
Yeah, it gets to talk about Tony too. He says the rally started on August 3rd, and this is actually the final day of the event. So I don't know if that's good or bad to be like the last night, because I feel like people are probably kind of done, ready to get out of there by that point. Like maybe that affects. I don't know if last year was the same thing or if they were earlier, like in the show in the week. But I don't know. Maybe that could have added to some of the subdued vibes that like these guys have been partying for a week now and might have been all tapped out, ready to hit the hog and head home. Tony thinks Jackie's a big bonus to WCW in this war, joining Harlem Heat. So he's like all in on that. Yeah, I thought the match was interesting. I mean, you got Harlem Heat as heels in NWO's faces in the match structure, which is interesting. I don't know if they're overcompensating for last year and assuming Harlem Heat's going to get booed here again tonight, and they kind of wrestle accordingly. It was definitely less hard hitting and more bland than you would have hoped. It was more of a sluggish grinder. I think the Jackie pairing is fine. It gives Harlem Heat someone like that makes more sense than like what they had. I mean, Sherry and Parker were fun, but that was more of a just antiquated vibe. Jackie feels a little bit more modern day, and she's kind of an answer to what China is on Raw, right? So it kind of makes sense to have her out there able to attack the guys. So I think that's pretty good, and she pays off right away. So I feel like a speed bump for both guys. Like you said, we've been a V&D fan, so this felt like a step back for them. And it wasn't quite the hard opener that maybe they intended with Harlem Heat. So I went 2.25. Yeah, I would agree with you. This definitely underwhelmed when you looked at it on paper.
So we are shown the Steiner brothers and Ted are on the chat answering some questions. And this led me to wonder how bad could the internet had to have been where they were answering these questions. Like,
Oh, terrible! I'm sure.
I mean, how did they? I mean, I guess they had like a
Well, it's
modem
dial-up.
and were like hardwired and dialed up in.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
were just probably plugged into whatever phone line was there. So I mean, it was probably okay, I guess.
I
'Cause
guess. Yeah, it just this it was something I hadn't thought about where I was like, even in like, I mean, obviously now you're dealing with Wi-Fi, but when I've been in pretty rural areas, like the Wi-Fi gets so shoddy that in 1997 they're
right.
answering these chat questions on these computer.
Well, I wonder too if they were feeding off like the truck, maybe the satellite truck or something, like not plugged into whatever
Production for
saloon.
this has to be a nightmare.
Oh,
Like
I'm
it
sure.
has to just be awful.
Yeah.
Like they have to hate it. So next match, Conan K Dog versus Rey Mysterio. Conan comes out to the NWOB theme again, which I don't know if you want to rev it back up. Um, this is kind of another feud that we talked about. Felt like it kind of got supercharged where Conan said he was going to go through all the luchadors and then started basically with La Parca and then Psychosis, and now he's at the final boss already with Ray coming back. Probably could have stretched that out to maybe Fall Brawl, but here we are. They, as we mentioned on the Nitro leading in, they kept talking about how adult this pay per view was. So they kept cutting to basically
Mhm.
every biker chick that was in the crowd, and the announcers made a comment almost every time. So at the beginning of this match, Bray gets worked up when they pan to one, and he can't finish his sentence. Mike Tenay is in the booth for this one. This is billed as a Mexican death match, which basically means no DQ. The announcers are focusing on Ray's leg as he comes down. Ray gets off to a hot start, but Kone catches him immediately, goes after the leg. I thought this was a great selling performance for Ray
Mhm.
pretty much throughout the whole match. When he gets a comeback and he lands on the leg, he sells it. That allows Conan to clip him. Bobby says that Conan will probably win the match just because he's a meaner human being. I thought Conan did a decent enough job varying up his offense. Like he pulls Ray into the corner. He's kind of doing these leg grapevines and leg submissions and stuff. But to me, this match is all about Ray selling and his comebacks. And unfortunately, the crowd heat really stinks for this. And this is a match, maybe even more than any other match on this show, that's full of pretty pedestrian crowd heat and reactions from the crowd. I think this is the match that may have suffered the most because I think if you could have had a hot crowd that was really reacting to what Ray was doing and the story they were telling, this could have been a big success for a match. And I still liked it a good bit, but when Ray fights back, you can really see the size difference between them.
Mhm.
Conan pulls Ray into the middle with a leg drop and scissor submission. He ends up going after the mask. The bikers rev up for that. I guess they want to see what Ray looked like in unmasked. Tanay talks about how that would be an automatic DQ in Mexico, but I don't know if in the Mexican deathmatch rules that accounts or
I guess
not.
it flags,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. Ray hangs on to the mask as it came off to kind of keep it in front of him, and then he kicks Conan off and puts it back on. Dusty says, "Come on, little Ray." So he's cheering Ray on. Ray gets a springboard moonsault, but that was too much of a risk, and he's in agony and pain with his leg. Dusty said the ref should think about stopping this thing. Conan drop kicks the leg. Ray gets an arm drag, but gets caught in a belly to belly. We get a flash pin from Ray to nearly no reaction. I thought the announcers again were doing a good job trying to present this, telling the story of the match. They were just getting
Mhm.
no reaction from the crowd. Ray drop kicks Conan's leg. He climbs to the top slowly, gets caught in a nasty looking cradle DDT, and then the tequila sunrise wins it for Conan, and he refuses to let go even after the match for a little bit. And the last thing we see from this match is the trainers coming into the ring, and they put Ray's leg in a splint. So this is a Chad match. Great selling. Conan again was passable. I don't think Conan was great shakes in this match. He was kind of a warm body, but to me, this was like a really great Ray performance. And he's someone that in 1996, I think, does have like a legitimate case to be like a wrestler of the year worldwide contender. And we really hadn't seen, I think, one of those performances in 97 yet. We'll have some coming up, but he's been banged up throughout most of 97. and taking a step back. I thought from his end, this was one of his stronger performances of the year. I really liked the storyline of the match. I think it went the perfect length. Again, I think with a great crowd, this would have creeped up into probably the very good range for me. But I ended up going 3 stars here. Again, almost entirely attributable to Ray and his selling.
Yeah, I feel like I like it. It's just wrong place and wrong like gimmick. It's just like you kind of nail that they rushed it. I'm really curious how this all goes about because Bobby's like he thinks Ray's faking, not faking, but like gold bricking, and that he's really 100%. Then Tony's not sure if it was a botch move or he's injured. And we have a Mexican death match, but it just turns into Conan working submission holds, which again is fine, but it kind of goes against like what there should have been. So I feel like they rushed this, and I don't know if it's because Ray wasn't really healthy and they wanted to do like another injury angle to put him back out, or why they didn't just wait and have him fight like Parker or someone here, because Mexican death match to me feels like it should be the end of the feud. Like build your way to that, and that's where it ends. So like here should have just been either submission or just a regular match, and Conan kicks the shit out of him, fucks his leg up, and puts him on the shelf, and then you come back with a Mexican death match stip. Like this felt very rushed, and then you end up saying it's a Mexican death match. You don't really do anything to warrant it being a death match, and then you layer in the crowd. It was completely checked out, especially on this kind of match. Like it's just not the right spot for this grinding, assault on Ray's knee. I thought Ray seemed a little bit off, and maybe that was just a knee selling or a little rust. I thought the end was good. I like the finish. I like the post match, but not enough to carry the full water. So in 2 3/4, and again, it felt like more like the individual parts did well, but then when you put it all together, it was kind of like wrong match type, wrong crowd, too rushed. To me, took a little spit off the Ray selling and Conan's assault. Like this felt like not the right spot for this match. I would have had Conan just destroy Hoovy or Parker or someone on the show and then build to Ray.
Yeah.
And I'm curious the Ray timeline because stake in the ground, we know he's in Halloween Havoc. So I'm curious how we get from here to there, because he's in like peak Ray form there. So like, I'm really curious how real this is with his knee. Is it a storyline?
Well, it was legitimate. I mean, he was legitimately hurt, but yeah.
Right, but I knew he was. Is he still coming out of this?
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Like we're 2.5 months away from like his greatest match of all time,
right?
Pretty much. Like where are we at? How does that connect?
So they show downtown Sturgis. Tony says a lot of WCW wrestlers rode their bikes from Detroit to Sturgis. Gene shields the hotline. He shows off his tattoo that he said he got last night. I don't know if this was legit or pill. I don't know. It was whatever. But then on the hotline, he says there's 2 new managers at WCW. One is a former world champ. The other is developing. So, I mean, was he talking about DiBiase as the former world champ?
Well, we know he's the manager already, though. So, like, that can't
That's what I was wondering, because I thought he was talking about DiBiase and Jackie, in which case he was already scooped. So I don't know why you'd call the hotline for that.
I mean, it's not Stevie, like managing Raven. So, yeah, I don't know who even comes in. Everett's in here. He may know. He's good at this stuff. But, I don't know.
He can maybe help us out. The Observer had nothing on it. I was thinking maybe Dave, because sometimes Dave would snarkly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even any managers like around that would be.
Yeah, I mean, with his second scoop, he screws up anyway. So that's why I think he may be talking about DiBiase and Jackie, in which case it makes no sense. But here we go.
Well, DiBiase is not a world champion, so
yeah, I mean, I guess technically, if he was handed the belt or whatever,
I guess, it is Gene. So we probably should take it more with a grain of salt than trying to pick it apart. But yeah, I don't know if anyone else had debuts in the immediate near term.
And world champion again is pretty vague. So
maybe Arnold Scollins coming in.
Uh, never world champion. I don't even think
Man is a world
you.
champion.
Well, I was like say you even have a better case for DiBiase like in
Right.
the national title back in the territory days than like. But yeah. So our next match is Mongo and Benoit versus Dean Malenko and Jeff Jarrett. This is an elimination match. Dusty this time gets his tongue tied when they show a lady in the crowd. Whoa, Nelly! He says as they pan to her. Benoit and Jarrett start out very briefly, and Jarrett gets a quick arm drag and struts around. And then once it looks like Mongo's going to get tagged in, Malenko quickly gets tagged in. And so we get Malenko and Benoit in Sturgis, and I could not believe they were running this back after that debacle the previous year with the indifference from the crowd. So they do a little chain wrestling. Shockingly, there's no reaction to that. Mongo gets tagged in, does a few power moves to Malenko. Jarrett, I'll say for his part, has the most heat of anybody on this show so far. Big Jarrett sucks chant from the crowd. Tony says that, the going through this match and doing everything and having his wife in somebody else's corner is making him a more complete pro wrestler. They keep mentioning how Jarrett's not coming in on purpose. He's, purposely avoiding Mongo throughout the match. That's the whole story of the match. They pan to Deborah on the outside. She says that the U.S. champ gold goes great with her hair color. Mongo's jawing at Jarrett on the corner. The Horsemen are just working in and out, beating up Malenko, power slam. Mongo gets in the 3-point stance, but Malenko avoids that, tags in Jarrett. Crowd reacts to that. We get the rev up again from the bikes. Jarrett gets a quick jawbreaker in, and then a very funny move. And I don't know if I've seen this presented this way. It was very Memphis how this is done, but Jarrett hits a jawbreaker and then basically puts Mongo on top of him and holds him down to where Jarrett is pinned down and eliminated because this is an elimination match. So as soon as Jarrett gets pinned on purpose, he rolls out of the ring and hightails it out of there. Pointing at his head, talking about how smart he is, says that's how you do it. Tony lets us know that he's thrown his partner to the wolves. Dusty says he's seen guys walk away but never get purposely pinned before. So they're kind of in shock with all that. Malenko gives up a pretty good fight. Gets in a quick backslide. It's kind of like a hope spot. But the numbers game catch up to him. Benoit hits a tombstone and a diamond headbutt, and then Mongo follows with another tombstone, and that gets the win for the Horsemen. So I thought this was pretty clever booking. Actually, this is again not a lengthy match, but it's a storyline match that told a decent story. Again, a very Memphis type story, but one I thought done well and was unique. I mean, it still looked unique, and I think it's something that would actually work in current day too if they tried to pull off a finish like this. So I went 2 3/4. I thought this was a very solid kind of storyline work match.
Yeah, Tony's really all into this. Is the night to eliminate the NWO. Like he's talking about it a lot. Like some key wins, and they could be dead. Dusty, great moment of him getting flustered during the entrance. There's a chick in a bikini top, and he literally just stops talking. And Tony, you take over. Like he completely loses train of thought. I liked it too. I'm with you. It's funny that they ran back Malenko Benoit. They probably didn't even fucking connect the dots. That it was a disaster a year ago, and here we are again. I don't think they probably even put two and two together.
I mean, different bookers, so maybe give them the benefit.
There's a chance they didn't even really think back to it. But it was a fun match. Like it was very creative, and for once, they didn't like do this confusing botchy finish that you have to really kind of explain and think of. Like it was very clear. It was to the point. I thought it benefited everyone. Like it made Jarrett look like a master strategist, like a real asshole. And we've been Jarrett fans like in this run. Like he's been pretty good in this run. Malenko has showed a lot of guts, like fighting tall despite getting screwed. And the Horsemen were lethal and just like wiped out Malenko. Like they showed zero compassion in any way. They were just like, fuck you. Like it just destroyed him. I actually went 3 1/4. Like I like this quite a bit, but these guys have kind of been my thing like for a while now. Just like especially with the Benoit aspect of it gone and the Flair aspect of it gone, like Jarrett, Mongo, Deborah has been more entertaining than like Benoit and Nancy and all that stuff. So like that to me has been more entertaining. I like Malenko being in there because it felt like a poor man's Sting and Flair, right? Where it's kind of like you're just waiting for him to screw him over, right? So that was well done. So yeah, I thought overall it was a really fun match. It was different because Jarrett could have easily just walked away and got counted out. Like, but this was like funnier because it's just like a good FU to Mongo. Like he gets the pin on him, but you didn't hurt him in any way. So
right.
And he keeps the gold.
Yeah. I mean, doing an elimination match, I thought was smart here to obviously lead to something more down the line. So it was well done. They show the clips of the wrestlers actually rode into Sturgis. Looked like we had the Steiner brothers, Paige, and Mongo. That was the
It was kind of a weak video. Like I thought they were really hyping up. Like we were going to see the sights and sounds of Sturgis, and it was like 1 minute of like 3 guys riding their bikes and talking to people. like the way they talk about it. Maybe 96 had more people that were willing to make the ride. I feel like 96 they had a ton of people on the bikes. Like even Hogan drove in and so like. This was like it was like the Steiners and whatever. It was like 3 or 4 people, and then they don't show much. So I thought not that I cared, but like it felt like we were going to get more of like them immersed into Sturgis
road trip. Yeah, well, maybe the Steiners driving isn't what we need on the road anyway, given their history. Alex Wright versus Chris Jericho's for the Cruiserweight title. Today he's back in the booth. He gives us an update on Ray, says the knee is re-injured. It's at least a severe sprayed, but he'll
or worse.
Yeah, that's the minimum damage that's done. So Jericho gets the early advantage. Wright bails to the outside to regroup. Come back in. There's a lot of kind of back and forth. I thought there was too many headlocks throughout the match. Crowd was indifferent again. To me, in a lot of ways, this match reminded me of some of these New Japan Junior matches you would have from this time frame, where you have a lot of kind of basic mat work, and then on the front half of the match that didn't really matter a lot, and then the back half you would have the high spots here. But this was another match for me where I was hoping for more because I like Wright as a heel and his persona, but I thought he didn't bring a lot of either. I think it's difficult for him from a heel standpoint with these long form matches because they kind of presented him on the heel side as nonchalant or a little bit of a doofus, like dancing with the Nitro girls or whatnot. So it's like, do you portray that in ring like that, or do you have him show more of an intense edge? It just felt like he was still trying to find his way. Jericho, as we mentioned, has been trying to find his way for about a year now in this promotion, so he's still kind of floundering a little bit. Crowd's indifferent. So they do go towards the end stretch where things kind of ramp up, where Jericho lifts right up, crotches him on the rope, drop kicks him to the floor, then hits a springboard. Then he does the springboard plancha to the floor. Wright's able to counter on the outside and hit a suplex to regain the advantage. Jericho catches Wright coming off the top rope back inside the ring, does an arm bar. Again, I equated to the opener where I thought the face was on top too much throughout this match. Get straight to the finishing stretch where Wright maintains some momentum, gets a back suplex, but misses the moonsault. Jericho hits his lion salt, hits a double power bomb. But Alex Wright catches Jericho with the superplex for 2, and then they do a series of roll-up reversal. Wright ends up on top, maintains his weight to pick up the victory with a kind of a back and forth style pin. Pretty cleanly. It didn't look like he had like a lot of tights or anything too nefarious here. So this match just really didn't do much for me. I found this one to be very disjointed overall. So I went 2.5. I thought again, like some spots were good here, but psychology was wonky here. Crowd reaction was bad. And another one I was kind of hoping for more, I would say, given the combatants.
I like Tony getting pissed that the Alex Wright is the man sign in the crowd. He's like, who the fuck would have that? He also mentions that Jericho's more sedate here. And again, WCW momentum. Like Tenay talks very like long about Alex Wright's dad to like talk over the chants that were going on and the in the background, the chants you can imagine aimed at Alex, right? A lot of revving bikes with those chants as well. You know, Tony notes too that Jericho seems very indecisive here. He's slowed down in his offense. And it's been kind of a criticism we've had of Jericho a lot is doesn't seem to be any flow. I don't know if it's just confidence or what, but he just does not seem in any way to have like a flow, a chemistry, a smoothness to anything he's been doing. So I'm not sure why it hasn't clicked yet for him. And I keep thinking, well, maybe it's like the booking to like lead to where he's going, but I don't feel that way by anything that's happened so far. And we're kind of already doing that with a couple other guys. Like Wright is basically doing what we know he's going to do. Guerrero's doing what he's, so it's like, okay, like we have another guy now that gets like mad at the fans and starts to kind of be a dick. So I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if it's just a lack of reps in WCW, like because it does feel like he comes and goes so much. So I don't know if he's just having a hard time reconciling, like in Japan, then I'm in Mexico, I'm back in WCW. Like, is he having a hard time piecing together like who he's wrestling? I don't know, but he hasn't really been impressive in any way. Like if they would have cut him at this point, when you look at their roster and how loaded they are, like I would have been justifiable, honestly. Like if they were like, all right, it's just not, there's not much here. Like it wouldn't have shocked me. It's actually more surprising they kind of ran with it as long as they do until he gets going. I guess they just had so many freaking guys that they were like, whatever, we don't cut anyone. But the commentary definitely made it like we're hinting to some sort of change with Jericho. The crowd again was in and out. That didn't help. But overall, it was well worked, well wrestled, even on some of the awkwardness in the presentation. It was feisty. It was hard hitting. So Wright escapes. We'll see if this pushes Jericho over the edge. I actually went 3 stars. So like I like it because I like Wright in this run. But definitely another match to me when you start to look at this card that feels like we're underperforming kind of here and there,
Yeah, this is the highest rated match on Cage Match. It's 5.97, which shows you the show reputation overall. Also was Meltzer's highest rated match at 3 stars on the show. Shared that with Conan and Rey Mysterio. So, I don't know. It felt a little too disjointy for me. So they showed some dude that was on a bike and he had a Charles Manson shirt on, which I thought was an interesting choice to be kind of wearing and presenting. All right. The mayor of Sturgis is also shown in the crowd. Clifford Lynn. Yeah. Old guy.
That is a very South Dakota name right there. Mayor Clifford Lynn.
Didn't look a little out of place in the biker rally, but I guess he's fits right.
You think he
in.
just works like that 1 week a year? Like what else does he do?
I
don't
know.
Like
There's probably I'm sure there's some very funny politics that were going on the other 50. I can imagine in a town like that, there's probably like a small contingent that, that of the 700 that actually live there, or however many that detest, the Sturgis rally.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I'm sure there's a lot of like.
I think it's very punny, very Parks and Rec.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of like politicking, like what vendors do we let in?
What's to say? Do you think it's like he has this week, he takes the next week off, and then the next 50 weeks are planning for the next year's bike rally? Like that's going to be the most of it, right?
It's interesting. So like I've cruised Alaska a few times, and there's a town like Juneau, Alaska is the capital of Alaska. It's a small town, but I mean, especially for being a capital, but it's probably like 30,000, the population. So it's an actual town. But almost all cruises to Alaska go to this small town called Skagway, which is about a town of 2,000 at most permanent residents. And that's funny because, on any given day with cruise ships, you're having, 15,000 tourists come into this small town, which is basically like one street that they call Broadway, one main street of road with everything. But then you also have a lot of temporary workers that just work the summer and then they leave. So I know now that I've been there a few times, I kind of talked to a couple of the locals and met a couple on my hike recently when I was there in October and was just talking to them because I was on the last cruise and they were talking about how happy they were that everybody was leaving and, they finally get their town back and all this stuff. So I figure Sturgis is the same boat here.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there are a lot of people that hate it, but it's probably such a big influx of
I mean, it's the only reason you know the name Sturgis is the bikers rally. Like,
yeah, a weird little town. I think you should go next year. Do a live North South Connection report on the road, Chad and Sturgis.
Yeah. I've been to a bike week on accident, but that was at Myrtle Beach, and it was Black Bike Week. So, so that was quite a interesting situation I found myself in. It was a lot of fun. A lot of motorcycles revving up in the middle of the night, though. Oh my god! Like
sure.
this was back in real poor days, right before we got married. So I think we were engaged, and we stayed at this like awful hotel, and well, yeah, very memorable trip.
Now look you're cruising Skagway, Alaska every year.
My Alaskan cruise. So now we get to the business end of the card. Like I said, those 4 matches all were kind of your underneath matches, but now everything else has a lot of kind of stakes to them. One way or the other, 4 out of the 5 are NWO versus WCW matches. So that starts right here with 6 versus Ric Flair. 6 gets the NWO main theme, which I think he's always like an interesting like cut off. Like, is he gonna get the B theme?
He definitely feels like the baseline right now.
He's the one that they sort of decide the litmus.
He's like the Mendoza line for sure for the NWO. Like that's it. If you're below him, you're in the B team.
Right. So I thought they cut a pretty good pace to start here. 6 takes a big bump to the floor from the corner. Bobby's surprised no one from the NWO is out there with him. Tony says, well, everybody else involved has their own match they got to worry about later in the show. Flair continues to dominate the early going. He crotch chops 6. So I thought this was a good test for this crowd overall. And I'd say, Flair's obviously should be a household name, and even him I thought got a lacking reaction to what you would expect in this match. So I know Malenko and Benoit the year before, and then you had the racist reaction to Harlem Heat, but I didn't recall the crowd heat being as bad in that show as it was here. It really affected me on this show. And especially when they do make a reaction, a lot of time it's revving up the bikes, which was just driving me nuts.
That's kind of the thing, right? That it's starting to feel more and more as we're talking about it, because it is cool, and we always applaud WCW for being different, for the aesthetics that they did, for the different outside the box concepts that they would do. I like it. It feels like maybe this could have been a one and done.
Yeah.
It looked really cool the first time. They kind of got away with it. And now it's maybe every other year, maybe take a year off and go back the next year. It feels like you're watching this or again, start the week with it. Right. And maybe they were already boxed in by SummerSlam.
Or do a Nitro. I could have.
You could do a Nitro there.
Nitro.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Or start the week with it. Have it be the kickoff of the week, because you may get. I'm not trying to psychoanalyze this crowd, but it feels like the end of this bike week. These people are going to be hungover as fuck, ready to get the hell out of there. The locals are probably done. So now it's this is your last few hours before tomorrow morning we're all heading home back to reality. Yeah. Of course they're probably fucking checked out of this event. And it's not like this is the draw for the bike week, so it's not like everyone's there. It's not like when we go.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting very casual.
Mania. They don't really give a shit probably about the show, so it's it's just a bad recipe where you're getting non-fans that are burned out, hungover, and wasted or whatever by that point. So
I was shocked watching this show. They went back 2 more years after this. That is only a Bischoff ego stroke.
Yeah, it's a Bischoff passion thing. Yeah, that's it. He wants to go there. Because even 99 is insane to me that they're there. 98, I get it. They're still hot. Who cares? It's Bischoff's baby still. 99, it's crazy. I mean, he must have booked that so far in advance so they couldn't break it or something. Because
I can't. I mean, they're free. So how much? They can't be paying.
Right.
Whatever if they break it. They're getting no gate revenue. No merchandise. We just talked about with Joe Louis Arena, the Palace at Auburn Hills show. That was their second best attendance in merchandise per head. They got like $6-7. I mean, they killed it that show.
Mhm.
And then you go to this free show on pay-per-view. It's just, and so this match, like, that's my rant on that. Like, yes, there's some very pretty visuals, like with the sun setting and stuff, and I'll probably mention a couple of them in my notes. And it's cool to see, like, all right, yeah, from like a purely aesthetic standpoint, it's interesting, but
And
God,
there's no way to sell in a lot of merch because you don't see any in the crowd.
no, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
merch could have been non-exist. Like, I mean, it's literally in a parking lot. Like,
Right.
that's where they set it up. So
They could, what they could have done? They could have put the Clash there too. Like they were going to do
any
a Clash anyway.
anything but this. And again, like last year, I don't recall it being like that bad. Besides the points I mentioned, so
Right.
I could kind of justify, like, again, like, hey, this worked last year. It was a neat, kind of visual. We'll run it back. But after seeing this show and the crowd reaction, what happens at the end of the main event with people throwing like bottles and rocks at the wrestlers, like it was dangerous. The crowd heat sucked. Like, I mean, and really, it was only Bischoff's decision to go there, but it's like you just would have thought he would have had enough sense, or somebody could have convinced him, like, dude, like, you're leaving money on the table, and
Mhm.
this is not helping at all. Like, having this show in this environment, like, it does
No.
nothing. It only hinders, like, from a back end standpoint and from a presentation standpoint. Like, it sucks. So yeah, I mean, the heat for this was worse than I thought. 6 hits a spinning kick to take advantage. He chops and kicks away at Flair, hits the Bronco Buster, locks in a chin lock. I thought Flair did pretty good selling Six's kicks. Guillotine leg drop, gets a near fall, Flair flip, and I thought Flair had a pretty neat recoil off the Flair flip in the corner, where he doesn't run up and try to do a dive off the top rope. He immediately like lures Six in and hits him with a headbutt. Some nice strike exchanges here. It looks like Flair's going to work over the leg, but he gets caught in an enziguri. Six goes up top, misses a somersault dive. Flair now goes to work on the leg, locks on the figure four, but Six is immediately in the ropes. Six tries to lock on the Buzz Killer, but it gets blocked. Six goes for the Bronco Buster again. Flair gets his leg up, basically like hits him in the balls. They tried to say the midsection, but I think from a kayfabe standpoint, it's supposed to be his balls. And Flair pins him with his foot on the ropes, so like dirtiest player in the game stuff. So this one's interesting. Like, this has let me see what cage match is, because Meltzer hated this match, which I thought was shocking considering how much he loves Flair.
Right.
But he said Flair looked awful in this match, actually worse than Hogan in his match. Cage match is 5.87. I would say that's more aligned with me. I actually like this match a decent amount. I didn't think it was like a classic or anything, but I thought Flair was giving enough to Six. Six hung in there, and it was an 11-minute match that told a good story again within the confines of the ring, and probably with better crowd heat would have been upped a little bit. But as it was, I went 3.25. I thought this was a good enough match for a pay per view.
Yeah, I actually liked it quite a bit too. I like Tony's notes that a lot of Six's offense is not good for Flair's shoulder, which has been rehabbed. So like that's an astute point because it is a lot of kind of the Bronco Buster and like the Buzz Killer, like it's all shoulder based. So I think that's kind of a cool note. And Six really grinds on it, grinds on his neck, grinds on his chin, grinds on his shoulder. Like you said, Flair gives him a lot. I like that finishing stretch. You go for the float over the back suplex into the Buzz Killer. Flair fights him off. And the Bronco Buster worked all match, and then it backfires on him at the end. So it was a stiff match. I thought Six showed up really well. I like that he blended that hard hitting offense in with his riskier quick strikes. Flair's selling was great. My only thing would be maybe one rest hold too many. That probably would be my only criticism. I like the finish. It was a trend tonight, and that's not something that's common with WCW in this era of like a night of good finishes, because they usually have a couple that they way overthink and are convoluted, but they've kind of stuck them all tonight. I think in a different setting, like that wasn't the NWO versus WCW, this could have been a really cool, like, respect earning match for Six. He goes out there on his own. He brings the fight to Flair. It would have been a cool moment to where almost like Flair, maybe they shake hands and like the NWO gets pissy with Six. Like, what are you doing? but Flair like offers him his hand to say, "Hey, kid, like you earned it. Like you pushed me to the limits." Six is alone out here. Like we talked about the comments earlier, right? From Alan about how like WCW is always kind of more about like proving you're the better man, and that's kind of what they do here. Six goes out on his own, but WCW momentum, builds up some more going into this big main events here down the stretch with Flair getting the win. So and Flair kind of needed a win. Like I think it was the right choice. Like I could see some bitching that maybe Six should have taken this, but I think Flair actually needed the win more than Six. But they have good chemistry. You saw his Slamboree and that build. Like these guys actually work well together. So I went 3.25 as well. And I kind of wish they would have. I get why they weren't going to take Six out of the NWO, but like the way he's been wrestling lately, where he's kind of the workhorse, he's out there on his own. It really felt like this could have been a cool moment for Flair to kind of give him the nod and like Six to say thank you or whatever, leading to a little bit of like hazing on Six. Like, hey, like we don't take any respect from these guys. Like, what are you doing?
Right. Let's listen to the next match. Another big match. Diamond Dallas Page versus Curt Hennig. I was interested to see this match given Hennig's performances so far. So Hennig starts out doing kind of the king of the mountain, not letting DDP get into the ring. I thought a good slugfest to start. Felt like they both had some heat against each other. DDP crutches Hennig on the post. He rips Hennig's singlet. You can see kind of Hennig's purple trunks he was wearing underneath there for a bit. Hennig's able to gain the advantage using the towel to choke Page. A nice visual with the sun setting over Sturgis. But again, this is a match that was another one, beating a dead horse, but this was one really presented as a grudge match. He just wasn't there again. Hennig works over the neck area. Spin around clothesline from DDP gives him a hope spot. Hennig exposes the turnbuckle, rams DDP's head into it. Hennig hits the Hennig plex, and DDP kicks out of it. That I thought got a good reaction from the crowd, best reaction of anything in the match, and was actually put over well on commentary. That DDP was able to kick out of that. DDP blocks going into that exposed turnbuckle and sends Hennig into it. Hennig takes a good bump off of that, of course. Then I don't know if they were having some technical difficulties or what was going on, but we get like a 1 minute hard cam shot that it just stays on forever.
Maybe someone rode over the wire with their bike or something.
Yeah, I don't know. DDP hits his kind of flap drop driver, but the referee gets bumped off of that, and that allows Ric Flair to come in. DDP catches Flair coming in, hits Flair with the diamond cutter, but when he turns around, Hennig gives him another Hennig plex, and that picks up the win. So again, like I think slowly but surely in ring, Hennig's kind of working himself into form a little bit. I thought DDP showed some pretty good, honestly, athleticism here with kind of his bumping, his backslides. We know DDP can brawl good and make a issue feel personal with his series with Savage. And I thought he did a good enough job here too, making that feel like he had some legit animosity with Hennig here. So this I think was the only match on the show for me that actually overperformed. And I ended up going 3 stars, nothing crazy, but I thought this was a good showing for Page. Hennig was again good enough. I still contend that he's more important in WCW's officials' eyes than he really was in the 1997 wrestling landscape. But I at least am happy that I don't think he's outright embarrassing himself like he did at the back.
No, it seems like he's working his way into shape a little bit. Like he's definitely playing his way through it. Yeah. Can you hear this? All right, I'll load it up. Is the awful Curt Hennig WCW theme song that they have right here. Oh. Like, again, I don't know if they're just trying to run the clock out because they know he's headed elsewhere.
It's very generic.
Oh, my Lord. It's terrible. Like, again, there's so much disconnect in the things they're doing. They bring this guy as this marquee star, high-level free agent, this big signing, a top guy, and they give him this fucking non-playable character theme. Like, it's terrible. I mean, it's just it's like you would envision like they give to Jim Powers on the house show at MSG, like to pop the crowd a little bit and like give him a little something to come out to. Like that's or just like a video game menu screen, like it's just really real bad. I'm loading up right now. I'll play it, but yeah, I don't know. Like, yes, he is improving week by week, which is good. It still feels like almost like they have so many other parts moving around. It felt like they didn't really need him. It feels like a guy they brought in just to fuck with the WWF at this point, because it's like they already have all these big names. They got guys in line to push with Luger and Page and others. You got this next wave coming up with Jericho and Malenko and Guerrero, and like it just felt like, did they need another guy like this in the mix at this point? So yeah, it's a coup. Yeah, it's an FU, but it's almost like this is another guy that could have really, if he just would have went back to WWF, they really needed him. Like he could have really helped what they had going on if he was going to wrestle again, because they built it anyway. He was going to wrestle again. So like him coming in and being at war with the now forming group with Hunter and Sean, like something like that could have been cool. It's like, instead he's here and he's going to do big things, but it's like, this feels like another guy they had a shoehorn in.
For this matchup against Hennig.
We'll let it play for a second, then we'll go to it. It's going to kick in a sec. So yeah, another grudge match. I found it to be pretty mid. They didn't do anything wrong. It just never hit that next gear. They went right to the heat segment. And that was just plotting from Hennig. I did like the home stretch, and the finish, kind of adds more questions of where Hennig stands, right? But it puts Flair in this tweener spot. Like, again, it's the casualty of having the NWO war still burning while you're trying to tell other stories, because Flair was just a face against 6, wins. Hennig is being courted by Flair and the NWO, but he's against an anti-NWO guy. So you got Flair coming out, and you don't know for sure if he's coming to help Hennig because DDP kind of proactively attacks him, but like it's just this weird triangular stuff going on that you don't really understand who's on whose side. So I went 2 3/4, and like, again, this has been a real speed bump for DDP, who was like red hot for all of 97 for me. And like, since Hennig has arrived, has really derailed him quite a bit. So I'm looking forward to like him getting back to Savage. Because I think since Hennig has showed up, he's like been off course from like the red hot trajectory.
Level of confidence. He has to be in that comfort
zone. So anyway, that's my thoughts. I don't know if you agree or disagree overall, but like,
no, I mean, it's obviously
really
not as good as Savage. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a step down, but this at least wasn't an abomination. So
that's what I think of when I think of Curt Hennig. I mean, it's literally like production library theme number 9. I mean, that's all it is. It's just like some generic, copyright free music they just pulled out of the.
I'm sure somebody else used that.
I'm sure SportsCenter probably used it that night for like highlights or whatever. Like it was definitely generic rock theme number 7. That's all. It was ridiculous that this giant free agent megastar guy you're pushing to be this top dude is, coming out to that.
So Gene shows the hotline. This annoyed me more than it probably should, but he's talking about an exclusive report for Raven versus Raven and Stevie Richards. And then he says, we know who Raven's first opponent will be in WCW. Now, this annoys me because where we're at with the story, Raven still is not technically signed.
Right.
So that is so annoying that he's saying we know who his first opponent is, because he's not really even in the company yet. So
yeah,
just a minor breach in continuity, but something, like you should have somebody like more with their finger on the pulse of that. So
listen, we've talked about it, at least I have. I think you agree. This ongoing disconnect between Nitro world and pay-per-view world. And I feel like, again, it's almost like the old days of Saturday Night's Main Event that felt like it was its own little canon from episode to episode without the other stuff in between. Sometimes these pay-per-views feel like there's not shit that happens in between them.
Yeah. Yeah, this one I think was just, I don't know, like Gene's showing his hotline, but it doesn't compute. So Fall Brawl, quick shill, they show basically a bunch of jobbers, Public Enemy, and High Voltages in the cage fighting. But
yeah, they're gonna be in War Games. That'll be the big War Games.
NWO clip of Buff Bagwell, Bischoff riding their bikes into Sturgis. Bischoff gives a very quick promo saying Luger's going to pay. So that was that. Basically just opportunity to have Bischoff look cool riding the bike. So that was that. Now we get another big match on the docket, Savage versus the Giant. Tony says the Giant's not going to get rattled at Savage's tactics. Savage tries to slam the Giant right away. That goes poorly, where Giant lands on top of him, basically the Andre Hogan WrestleMania 3 spot. Bikers revving up relentlessly throughout this match. Savage gets overwhelmed. He shields Elizabeth in front of him. Giant picks up Elizabeth, puts her down, and then impressively press slams Savage back into the ring. Savage gains the advantage real quickly, takes out the leg, and goes to work. Posting it, Savage gets a dive off of the top with a crossbody for a 2 count. He goes for the axe handle, but gets caught for a choke slam. For the pin from the Giant, a really clean win here. Tony yells that WCW's taking it home tonight. This one really disappointed me. I thought this was very abrupt. I just think you could have done a lot more with these two. This was a decent, I think, bridge feud for both of these guys, and I don't know. Just this was just a match that Giant won cleanly. Kind of for
timing of the show feels off too. Like I don't know if they're rushing now because shit ran long. Like
this one felt abrupt for sure.
And I really don't want to keep sounding like a broken record, but like again, all night the NWO has not been helping each other out. Like that's their whole MO. And I know they got big matches to come, but whereas like Vincent, Norton, and Bagwell could come back out, like they're leaving Savage, like the Giants, like indestructible. You were leaving Savage on an island against him suddenly. No, now you have no backup. Like this is a major pay-per-view, the momentum. So it takes me out of like how these characters have been acting. And again, it feels like it's in a silo. Like if this is meant to have been built up to be this seminal night in the war, the NWO should be all out, and that makes WCW look even cooler if they're winning these matches, even with the troops out there. Like have the Giant take out Vincent and Norton and Wall Street, whoever the fuck else is hanging around, Rotunda, whoever else is hanging around, and like it will look better. Like he still looks good. It's a huge win for Giant. And I like Savage. He was fun trying to chop him down, but I went 2 stars, kind of out of reverence for both guys. But like, yeah, I don't know.
2 for me too.
It feels like we go against the green on these shows too much from it. My like
this was very disappointing. I mean, I've liked all the pay-per-views besides Sold Out up to this one. I thought this was a very
because the matches outweigh because the matches have been so good. So the pay-per-views have been good. I like them too.
I think the booking's been fine. I think that's being a little too tough on the booking.
I don't know. I think when you look at the week to week, like we've been doing versus like the pay-per-views themselves, you just start to see some of these. And it's not just WCW. I feel this way a lot about ECW too.
Well, I think with anything, if you're really examining week to week and talking about it, like you're going to find more stuff that.
Yeah, that's how it aired at the time. That's what I'm saying. Like in the moment, it's just weird that on this big night, the NWO is suddenly not dogpiling on WCW.
Yeah, that one's. I think in certain circumstances, yes, but that gets tough. Then because it's like with any group, it's like, well, you either have to say like there's some authority figure that basically says like they're completely banned from ringside.
Have JJ in the aisle with security. They could have, again, they're always missing the one little thing that could have explained it, right? We talked about it on Nitro. They could have had the NWO guys locked up backstage or something. Or here, you can have JJ in the aisle with security all night and be like, no one's fucking interfering in these matches tonight. Yeah. Like, I have a whole force, or even play up the bikers. Have like 5 or 6 bikes in the aisle with JJ. Like these are the toughest guys in Sturgis. I've paid them to keep everyone out of ringside tonight in these matches. Like that's the easiest thing in the fucking world to do. And then it at least explains why they're hesitant to come in and interfere, right? They're picking their spots because they know the bikers are going to kick the shit out of Vincent. So they can't risk coming down to ringside. And I get it with 6. It's kind of like, all right, go prove yourself, kid. But like Savage against Giant, such a mismatch on paper, that screams like, and Savage has been the type of guy that has that backup, right? He hides behind the guy. Like it just would have made all the sense in the world for Vincent and Bagwell to come out there, Again, I know it's nitpicking, but it's like, it just takes a little bit away from how these guys usually act.
Yeah. I mean, for me, this match, just how abrupt it was really to me the biggest sin. I mean Savage obviously can take a loss, but it's versus the Giant, who again we keep talking about they're protecting him, but just very abrupt. I mean, it went like 6 minutes. So, all right, our semi-main event, tag team title match, sun setting in
Oh, it looked
Sturgis.
awesome. It did look awesome here at the mountains, the
Steiners
sun
and
behind
the
the mountains
Outsiders.
as they come out. Yeah.
Yeah, Steiners come out on some hogs, get some pyro. Scott and Hall start out with some mat wrestling. Steiners take advantage. Outsiders go outside to regroup. Rick and Nash then go after it. Rick gets a back suplex on Nash, which I thought looked impressive. But the big boot from Nash to Scott gives the Outsiders momentum. And then the Outsiders do a long heat segment here. And this one, I thought really got hurt again by the crowd. So, I mean, what the Outsiders are doing is not technically bad. And this, I've harped on a couple of matches tonight, not really making sense from a psychology standpoint with the faces having too much of the match. This was, I thought, the right psychological match with the Outsiders having a long heat segment. And again, what they did, I don't think was awful. It just felt very baseline. And couple that with a indifferent crowd, made it feel a little long here. I think you definitely could have took a couple minutes from this match and added it to Giant and Savage,
Yeah.
and both would have benefited from that.
Or even Flair 6, take that last chin lock away.
Yep.
Give it to Savage Giant.
So Nash hits the snake eyes. Nash decks Rick on the apron. They do some double team here. DiBiase throughout the match had like some beef with Patrick. He was yelling at Patrick. We've talked about it. DiBiase just as a manager, like, I don't know. We'll have to track this at WCW because I mean he was more active than he was in like WWF and with his NWO run where he was just kind of like stoic trillionaire Ted or whatever. But I don't. Something always just feels off with him as a manager. It just never resonates. But Scott gets some home spots. The Outsiders return. Hall hits the Bulldog from the second rope. Rick comes in, decks Hall going for the Outsiders edge. That allows Scott to hit the belly to belly. Then he gets the hot tag to Rick. I thought this was a nice hot tag from Rick. Crowd was into that. They put Hall up into the Doomsday Bulldog, which Rick's able to hit. Then he goes for the pin, 1, 2, and right as Patrick's coming down for the 3 count, Nash pulls Nick Patrick out of the way, out of the ring, which causes the DQ. Real cheap finish here. And then we get the annoying part after that, which I thought was even worse than the cheap finish. So basically, like the bell rings right away. And here I'll give I'll give commentary credit here where they're at least kind of on the up and up here that this was a DQ. And when DiBiase grabs the belts like a goof and like hands them to the Steiners, and commentary's like, why does DiBiase have the belts here? And they're like, I think what happened was, he called for the DQ when Nash interfered, blah, blah, blah. Which is what happens. But then DiBiase and Patrick end up arguing with each other. This is just a mess. So this is a mess of a finish, I think. I think it makes the Steiners, if you're building this match where the Outsiders, who the Outsiders are cool and they've been great on jabbing the Steiners, the Einsteiners, but that's the whole thing. Like you act like they're dummies, and then they do something here where they think they won the titles and they look like dummies. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I hated that for this finish. Now we can get to the political stuff for this. I went 2.5. So the political thing is, Terry Taylor booked this to be a title change. So this was supposed to be a title change, and supposedly Nash and Hall really politicked and told Bischoff that they thought there was too many title changes in the company, really campaigned to keep the belts here. And so they kind of threw together this finish. Bad choice. So, honestly sucks to me for Terry Taylor. This is kind of the frustration Kevin Sullivan had as the booker. behind the scenes, and now we're seeing that with Terry Taylor. Overall, this was a bad finish. I thought this was an adequate tag match, but I definitely wanted more from this, and the finish left a real bad taste in my mouth. I ended up going 2.5 because, I mean, there was some good power spots here, and I think, like, psychology-wise, again, what the Outsiders technically did was not terrible. It made sense. It's just it wasn't what it should have been.
So I'll give you the two things I like, and then the rest. I like Tony, and again, says NWO, this could be it if they lose both of these matches, right? WCW can get the gold and leave. And they talk about, like, they've been chasing these belts for a year. He talks about Sold Out, how Bischoff screwed them after Sold Out, and they still have not won them back. And this is their chance. They got DiBiase, they got the momentum. And I like how Nick Patrick is consistent. Since he's come back to WCW, he's been a man of the rules, right? He has policed the rules accordingly. He's been strict. If you put your hands on the ref, he calls for the bell. So for once, this didn't feel out of character for me, despite the stupid finish, to say, like, oh, that's a weak DQ. It's a weak DQ in the booking. But Patrick at least has been consistent, and this is the type of thing he will disqualify you for, right? So, like, he has stood up for that since his return. He calls out the other refs, like, I'm going to law and order. And it also leads enough gray to think, is he still with the NWO? Because, like, he's, yeah, you know, you're not sure. And this feels like it could still be with the NWO, right? So, like, that's good. The match itself was classically worked. Might have been hotter with a traditional crowd and atmosphere. They have a very long heat segment. The celebration is asinine. I mean, they look like just fucking idiots. And DiBiase bringing the fucking belts in is like the dumbest of the dumb. Like he looks so stupid. Like, he should have been on it right away. He should have been like, this is bullshit. Like, the Steiners is like, don't celebrate. This isn't our, you know, they fucked us again. Like, right? Like, he's supposed to be the brains of the operation. He looks just as dumb as them. Like, he looks dumber than them. Yeah. These two idiots brought in a guy who's dumber than them to manage the ship. You know, like what are we doing? It looks stupid. And so, like, they look like morons. DiBiase looks like a moron. They would have been better off just getting pinned. Like, if you're gonna screw the booking around, just have him pin him. It would Rick gets double teamed and hits with the outsider edge, hit him with a fucking chair, like whatever it is, would have looked better. You know, they stayed in their zone, but the Steiners just feel like complete cocks. Like, they lose again. They brought in DiBiase to swing the tide. They lose again with him. They celebrate after clearly not getting the belts. Where's left for them to go? They're going to get another title shot with another, like, where is it now? Do they go? And the NWO is taking a lot of losses. I get it. But this felt like a time to just pull like, do it. Like, this is such a half measure that completely neuters the Steiners. Yeah. Just go all in. Just do it now. Hall and Nash don't need the belts. Like, they're over. They don't need the belts. And Hall's going to team with Savage anyway in this other feud. So, like, this is a good time to do it. Pay off DiBiase coming on board. Steiners get even if they lose them back at Fall Brawl, like, who gives a shit? Like, you know. So I went 2 3/4. Again, I think the match was fine and well worked, but, like, man, that finish, it makes SummerSlam '93 look like the most brilliant celebration of all time. Like, because at least that was like, we're eradicating Yokozuna as a threat. Like, this was like as dumb as it fucking gets. Like, Luger was aware he didn't win the world title when he had that celebration. These idiots think they won when there's clearly no 3 count.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a booking standpoint, you could go 1 or 2 ways on the show. I mean, I think the way to me, like, the way
fucking Rooster
Terry Taylor wanted to go with it was, you know, WCW wins every match, wins every big match. So you have Flair win, you have you know, Giant win, you have the Steiners win. So it's like, all right, repeat, and then Hogan wins at the end. Yeah. Which I think is one way to do it. I think the other way you could have done it is just like NWO Revenge Tour. And like, they, you know, you think like they're back against the wall and then they sweep. Yeah, this is neither one.
The Empire, right? It felt like it was the Empire Strikes Back. I mean, that's what it should have been if you're going to do it, right? They just kill everyone and win everything.
Yeah. So
this felt like a real half measure.
Yeah, this was a real dumb finish, and I don't think it's the dumbest finish on the show. Because let's get to the main event. It's Hogan versus Lex Luger. This may be one of the worst finishes of the year, not the worst finish on the show.
The bikes are
So
revving.
So Hulk Hogan versus Lex Luger. Buffer's out for this announcement. I liked when Luger came out. I thought he had a good entrance here.
So Buffer has a tux and he has a leather beret on. Like, what are we doing, Michael?
Well, you know,
a leather beret.
Had to have a little Sturgis flair here.
Wear a leather vest over the fucking whatever.
Luger comes out. I did like the NWO spray paints completely cleaned off the title belt, so that looks good here. Tony calls these two the biggest names in our sport in 1997. It's completely dark now, so you know, aesthetically it feels like a big match. We'll see what they do here 5 days after their last match. This has honestly worked pretty similar. A lot of the same beats here. Hogan again's on top for a lot of the match. Luger does have the power advantage early on. They talk about Randy Anderson being the referee again. But Hogan takes advantage with an R-bar, shows a little bit of mat wrestling. I'll give Hogan credit, man. Like, he got a pretty heavy face reaction from these bikers in 1996 that didn't get the memo that he turned at Bash at the Beach. And here he was paraded with some Hogan sucks chants. I thought consistently he had the most heat of anyone on the show. So pretty good that he was able to get heel heat here. Hogan's offense, I think, plays off that. It's a lot of choking, very nefarious, which again is tough, I think, to analyze because it's not flashy at all. It's not very star rating, grab you, but I think from a objective of getting him booed, it works. So kudos on that end. Test of strength. It looks like Luger's going to win until Hogan gets a low blow in. He hits a back suplex for a near fall. Hits the big boot. That gets two. Thankfully, the announcers mentioned that as a big kick out, and that they mentioned him not going for the leg drop afterwards. So that was good. Luger does a version of the Hulk up. He does a comeback as Hulk's just cowering in the corner. Hogan rakes the eyes as Tony's pleading for Luger just to, hit him with a closed fist and like unleash on him. Roll up by Hogan, which I couldn't believe he pulled out. That gets a 2 count. Hogan snot rockets the crowd. He goes for the big leg drop, misses that. Luger hits his clothesline, flying forearm. Out comes the NWO. So they tried to kind of mimic the finish from Nitro, where Luger cleans house of all the NWO members. 6 gets tossed into Norton. Luger's calling for the rack. And then we get Sting showing up at ringside, wearing the fakest mask and the fakest wig you've ever seen in your life. He hits Luger with the bat. Hogan leg drops him, wins the belt. And if that wasn't bad enough that we've done that dumb finish multiple times already, the absolute dumbest thing on this show of other dumb things was the announcers again acting like this is the real Sting and questioning if this is the real Sting and that he's went to the NWO. How many months are we going to have to see the same fake Sting angle? It's clearly Hall this time because he's the only one not out there. And I mean, just, use your eyes. It's oh God, this drives me nuts because it's so inconsistent. And you have the helicopter. So if you want Sting to come out, have him rappel from the actual freaking helicopter like he's done before. But it's like these announcers, like Sting's rappelling 200 feet down from the arena ceiling, and the announcers are able to guess that's the real Sting, what it is.
Right.
But yet you have this insanely fakey looking Sting with this wig that looked like my $5 Ric Flair wig that I wore on our cruise, clearly a fake wig, fake get up, and there's now they think it's the
crazy booking.
It's just so stupid. It's so stupid. And so then, of course, like Hogan wins, which gets to, NWO all came out. Nobody from WCW comes out and helps Luger. So that's a problem. But then, even dumber than that, even if you want to say again, like you could have done a little bit of retconning, like Luger in the back saying, "I'm gonna win it on my own like I did Monday night." Whatever, wouldn't have taken 30 seconds. But that, neither here nor there.
Have Gene say it, even if Luger does in his little stupid hotline report. Lex Luger on my hotline says he's doing this alone tonight, like he did on Monday. Like that's it. You don't need more than that.
But then, what I hated too was, at the end of the show, the Steiners and Curt Hennig, of all people, come out to help Luger to the back.
Yeah. Where were they a minute earlier?
Were they eating catering? I mean, what were these guys doing 5 minutes ago? Like, it's just, this sucks. Like, this sucks. And I think this is a very understated, like, Rushmore booking moment, that when we get to the entirety of this whole, because we've talked about how hot Luger is.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, the ramifications of Luger, like, it's over after this. I mean, his peak is done. So you went from maybe 2 top stars with Luger, Sting, Giant still right there too, to now it's Sting. You got all your eggs in Sting's basket after this debacle. And I really think, like, I mean, obviously, like, I think Starrcade 97 is the worst, and then Finger Poke of Doom. But even at that, like, it was already pretty much over.
Yeah, the ship had already turned.
Like, that's kind of like the, the Sherman's march on the war. Like, it kind of stamped it. This one, I think, is a Mount Rushmore bad booking moment, because you had the momentum with Luger. Mm-hmm. And then it is totally erased with this. I didn't remember how bad this was. I thought it was kind of just, NWO like attacking and winning, and actually thought the Disciple debuted on this show. I forgot that. So I was like, okay, at least like Brother Brunei helps it out. So that was stupid. But this was just dumb. And I cannot believe these announcers again bought that this was Sting and are questioning it. They, even before we get to the NWO celebration, which I'll get to that, like, Robin's so they have to hightail it to the back. Yep. They're getting pelted with legit bottles and rocks. So this big celebration was supposed to happen in ring. They call it audible. They hightail it to the back. They have to, like, vamp for a couple of minutes while they get set up or whatever. So then the announcers are saying maybe you hit the wrong man, but Bobby and Dusty are still like, open your eyes, Tony, and acting like Sting turn. It's just, it's so.
And why would Sting suddenly turn now? There's been no build to him turning.
He is not shown. He ripped up J.J. Dillon's contract versus Curt Hennig. If that's evidence that, now he's NWO, I don't know.
It's lazy.
So then you get to the back, Rodman's there. All of a sudden, he spray paints the belt. NWO, that's it. So I mean, as a match, I don't know.
How do you have Rodman here and not even on screen? Like, like, why isn't he out there?
Well, he was supposed to, so I'll give him at least that, where he was supposed to come out on for the crowd, but because they were
but even during the match, why not just put him in Hogan's corner? Like,
maybe
you have Rodman at the show.
I think they wanted that as like the surprise, but yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know.
I mean, it's a very obvious fake thing. It's terrible.
It's so obvious. And I like the match. This is, again,
I went 2 stars in the match. Like,
2.25, I guess. I mean, I hate, like, because now I'm talking about it, it's like, it's really like a dud booking. The match, I actually think, was worked well, and I thought, like, Hogan getting heat, I was impressed. Like, I was on board with this match till this
feel like it speaks to that old point that they didn't care as much about pay-per-view and they cared about Nitro. Like, bitch, that was like, because it feels like these pay-per-views are lazy books sometimes. Like, this one's
this is egregious beyond egregious.
It's lazy. It's super lazy. It was just like, we have no way out. We gotta burn off this paper. The problem, everyone loves
even unnecessary though. Like, I mean, even if, like, as dumb as nobody from WCW helping Luger out would be, at least if, like, the NWO gangs up and Hogan wins again, like, yeah, that's stupid, but I think that's forgivable.
What if you say that both sides agree no interference, and then all of a sudden Luger's about to do the rack, and you hear a bike revving and the horn beeping, and it's Rodman in the crowd laying on the horn. Luger gets distracted for a minute.
There's so many ways
Yeah, I mean,
but I'm
really,
thinking even like a bad choice would have been better than this choice.
right.
Like the choice of Sting is just so beyond the pale of
and
idiotic.
they are like, everyone loves long-term booking and storytelling, and they have this plan. Like, but this is one of the fallacies and the problems of doing the long-term stake in the ground, because now they've said we're not, like, Sting Hogan is happening here, and now suddenly we got 5 months to fill, and this is how you lead to nonsense like this, right? Because now you're just like, well, we have to have Luger do something because he's so over, and this ruins it. Like,
They killed
again,
him.
you did not need to put the belt back on Hogan to get to Hogan Sting. Luger winning should have been the moment. Should have been WCW gets the belt back, but the NWO still has some power, and Sting has to come to finish them off. And like, we've talked about this for weeks now. They should have went that route. Like, capitalize on what you have in Luger, because this is it. And we'll see. Maybe it's not, but it feels like this is it. Like, you blew the chance. You can't put it back in. Like, you know.
Yeah, you could have had 2 top stars, and now you had. I mean, you like. Well, it's just like. I mean, through his faults, like you see that in '98 with WWF with Rock and Austin in the fall, like Rock gaining this momentum, and you see how like they booked around that, and it's like, man, it's like how do you get creative and book something like that to circumvent that problem? And like we had this where, I mean, they just cut Luger off at the legs. Like there's no other way to do that. Like he looks like a bozo.
He should have either not won the belt at all or kept it for a bit.
Giant don't even come out at the end, so he looks like a complete goof.
It's like he got beat up earlier in the night or anything. He beat Savage in 5
won
minutes.
clean as a sheet. Savage isn't out here.
It makes him look real stupid. The whole thing. I mean, the match is so
he
big,
looks like a goof because that's Luger's best buddy, and he don't check on him. He's not.
Right. The whole thing looks dumb. Like, the match has some gravitas, but it lacked that heat and the height like we had on Nitro. And I talked about this as being the problem with having the match last week, and now this was the finish was super fucking obvious. Like, it was so obvious that Hogan was winning this belt back and Luger was going to lose. It was as soon as Luger won on Monday, that was it.
Yeah, well, I think you could have booked around that though. I think this is booking yourself into a corner and then coming up with an even worse, situation. Like you could have like patched up the wall and it wouldn't have been that big of a problem. And instead you just took like a sledgehammer to it. And
they gave him the time. It felt like a big match, even though Luger's pop was muted. The whole show like didn't have much in the way of notable happenings or surprises at all. Like, and basically they quelled the WCW momentum that they hyped all night. And there was no big surprise. There was no big turn. Like, this title change was obvious as it gets. There was no, for 2 people bitching about all the title changes, there was none on the show besides that.
That's what, I mean, Taylor wanted there to be 3 title changes. He wanted Hogan to win the belt back, the Steiners to win the belt back, and he actually wanted Wright is the champion now. Yeah, so Jericho to win the cruiserweight title. So he only got 1 out of the 3 at the end of the day.
And then, all night they're saying that NWO is on death's door. Like, that's the theme of the show, that they are on death's door. Like, if they lose, this is it. So why aren't they all hands on deck the whole night? We already covered all that, right? And when they finally get involved, we have been told all night that if WCW can retain the world title, the NWO is dead, right? Like, this is it. Like, if Hogan, can lose this match, like, they're cooked. Like, this is done. And where the fuck is WCW at the time right now? That this isn't just helping Luger. This is ending the NWO. Like, this should be all hands on deck. This should have been a war at the end. All the locker rooms emptying out, brawling through the crowd. Like, give me everything. And in the confusion, Hogan wins. Empty the fucking locker room. They should all be, we're the faces of fear and wrath. And more like, all these guys, like, they should be brawling throughout the crowd with the NWO, like fighting them off for Luger. And in the chaos, Hogan steals the win. And instead, we get the obvious fake Sting, the lazy announcers. So again, this all feels even more obvious now that we're headed towards Sting Hogan. So what do you do with Hogan for the next 4 months? Because if this isn't it, he's not losing again until Sting shows up. So is that going to be Halloween Havoc, or is that going to be, Starrcade? I don't know, but at this time, right?
Yeah, he should have. I mean, if they did want to do the switch to Luger, they should have regained. Hogan should have regained at Havoc or something.
Right. Or Fall Brawl, whatever it is.
There's so many better options.
Yeah, it just feels stupid.
Awful.
And it feels like a fleeting honorable mention at best for Luger. Like that, like a footnote.
Yeah, that I think is really where, again, I put this like on the Mount Rushmore of bad booking decisions from like 1996 to the end of WCW because of what they did to Luger, because you really had somebody that, in the confines of the wrestling landscape in 1997 is one of the most over people in both companies, and could have had a top run and, could have maintained momentum for you. And they really cut him off.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Like, yeah, I think Luger should have just had that run, like you said, for a bit. And then you can say he's carrying the brand. Hogan's going away to regroup for a couple months. He comes back and screws Luger in Vegas at Halloween Havoc, and then Sting's going to come back to clean up the mess. Like, that would have been fine too. Let Luger be the man for a couple months. But this really, it sucked because it ruined just a lot of stuff. And I don't understand their hesitance to like have both sides at war if you're in a war. Like, it makes no sense to constantly be in conflict and war and not have these guys out there having war. Like you said, where's Giant? Why isn't he out there? This should have been all hands on deck, a fight in the aisle, fight in the crowd, chaos ensues. And what this shows me is they didn't really want to do this show because they progressed nothing. I feel like they just wanted to be in Sturgis and they have to do a pay-per-view every month.
Yeah, I mean, I to me, it's more that like they forced Taylor's hand and resulted in just dumb booking. It's I mean, because again, like, even like, to me, like, the Sting portion's the absolute worst of the worst. Like, I can almost, I mean, the other stuff is dumb, but I can almost forgive that. It's the Sting situation that I just cannot believe we did that again. And then, because then that almost, again, like, as a viewer, like I mean, on one hand, like, what's your kayfabe rationale? Are you supposed to have Down in Sting? But it was so obvious he was fake. Like, now you lose credibility, and then it's just a no-win situation for anyway. Like, you go along for the ride, and now you're down the other top baby face that they're trying to build. So you have one that just, lost 5 days after he had his crowded achievement, or somebody that you can't trust still completely. That's like the kayfabe reason. Or you obviously know that was a fake Sting because you have two eyes, and you're like, well, why are the announcers, mentioning that this is a turd? And it's just, it sucks. It sucks. All of it sucked.
All right. Well, let's get to our awards here. Wrap things up. All right. So match tonight, I ended up going Flair in 6.
Yeah, I have Flair in 6 as the highest rate match too.
All right. Moment. I just went Hogan win the belt.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest moment on the show. And I mean, it's not whether it's good or bad. That's the biggest moment.
MVP, I want Giant. I mean, he just kind of looked the best of anyone on the night, I guess. Just destroying Savage. He looks like an idiot at the end, not helping his friend.
Yeah, I Hennig being out there may be the second dumbest thing behind Sting, because like
Jericho out or whatever.
I have no idea why he's. I mean, Paige, like anybody. But I went Mysterio here. I thought his selling was good in that match, and no other real contender. So.
All right, no debuts, no dropped angles, I don't think. Unless you want to count Luger as one champion. But it's not really dropped. This is the angle. It's a weird. I don't know. It's a weird. I went 6 out of 10. I mean, I don't know. It's a mid show.
I think
it's fine. Stuff happens. Like, nothing happens, but the matches are fine.
Yeah,
there's no real bad in ring. It's just incredibly missable. You can just Hogan won the belt back. Okay, nothing else happened.
Yeah, from a rating show, this was one of the harder ones I've been on because the booking I just tested so much for those last two matches. But you look at my match ratings, like my lowest match was Giant and Savage at 2, highest match was 3.25. So everything was in that kind of like decent to good range. Um, Nothing really good, nothing really bad. Like even compared to like SummerSlam, like nothing was as bad to me as the Barukas, like the Gang
Right.
War stuff. So, just a weird show. So I went 5.5. I didn't think. I don't know. I still feel a little guilty giving a show an above average rating with the booking being that bad, but it is what it is. I mean, I think we said our piece on on the finish. So there you go.
All right. So there's Road Wild. Let's get to our combo awards then. All right. So for SummerSlam, I went 8 out of 10 and 6 on this.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, SummerSlam's definitely. I mean, this is going to be a pretty clean sweep, I think.
so it's 2 months in a row because Canadian
Yeah,
in July. Best match, Brett.
Yeah, Brett and
Taker.
Taker.
All right. Best moment. So I went with Michaels hitting the Taker with the chair.
That's the best moment on both shows.
All right. Better commentary.
So this is tough because I did like WCW's commentary up to the end, but I'm almost so punishing for how dumb they sounded at the end that I'm fine going WWF.
Yeah, Vince was good on this one.
Like they actually at I mean, like the commentary for WCW had it right for the Steiners stuff, and then they completely had it wrong for the main event. So it was bad.
And it's also like Vince's last big show, which is something. Star of the night, Brett. Is that what you?
Yeah, probably Brett.
Yeah, I had Brett for mine. Giants. Nothing really. All right, and I'm sure the higher buy rate was obviously Road Wild.
No, so I don't know what we want to do with this. I think we may have to go with a tie. I don't quite understand it, but so Road Wild, they said, had 240,000 buys. I mean, it's an estimate based on I don't know what formula. It's WrestleNomics, so I'm using the same formula for both. So basically, here's the deal. Road Wild, they say, is 240,000 buys at a 0.65 buy rate. SummerSlam, they say, is 235,000 buys, but a 0.8 buy rate. So I don't know why, like,
it's probably based on availability. Like I think buy rate is available homes. So
yeah, it is. But why would there be
one of them might have been missing from one of the carriers? Maybe one of the carriers didn't carry.
I mean, that guy that was called on the Millionaire
couldn't watch it.
Maybe he was right. I guess he had couldn't get SummerSlam, but could get Road Wild. So there you go. So I mean, I think I'd put that as a push.
Okay, we'll call it a tie.
I mean, it's 5,000. I mean, again, these are estimates, so it was pretty even. Which again, on the surface, is I would say pretty bad for WWF because it's like that's their third biggest show. This is a throwaway, but yeah.
All right, so all time, that brings us to 14 pay-per-views for WCW to 8 for WWF. So in our war here. All right, pay-per-views in the books. We'll be back before the end of the year with one more episode. We'll be covering the August 11th week of television. So we'll have the fallout from this show. We'll continue some big stuff happening on Raw as well. So we'll still be cooking over there. There's a really big debut and in-ring return of Shawn Michaels, plus some other stuff going on Raw. And then we'll see the fallout here. We'll be headed to the Clash soon. So we'll start to get the build to the Clash and Fall Brawl. So all that said, have a great holiday week and appreciate you staying with us and all your feedback. I want to give a big shout out to all the patrons that were in the room with us here tonight. We had Ed, we had Reg, Jenny, Everett, Nichols popped in at the end. So thanks to everyone who was with us throughout the night watching live. Again, subscribe, absolutely free Patreon. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Nortel Connection, and all audio podcast options besides Spotify because they suck. All right. That'll do it. Smell the napalm. Your road has been wild. Talk to you in a couple weeks.